Sally YouTube. So the French language is pretty hard to learn because France. But what I find really interesting about learning a new language is that the mistakes that you make often depend on your maternal language, your native tongue. And I know that for anglophones or native English speakers, there are some common mistakes that we have a reputation for making when we're speaking French. And so I'm going to cover off some of the most common ones today, and these are absolutely things that I have done 1,000 times over and still do probably from time to time. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes when you're speaking a language because it means you're practicing, and if you're practicing, that's a good sign because you're gonna be improving. Don't be like me, who refused to speak out loud and practice because she was so shy and embarrassed and made very little progress for an entire year living in France. Not the right thing to do. We've got to practice. But these kind of mistakes come up all the time, and it is useful to have them in mind, and also just a little bit of fun along the way. By the way, I actually have a video, it's quite an old one, but it's a goodie. It's on the embarrassing moments that I had living in France. There are quite a few language ones, but quite a few other ones as well, behavioral ones, let's say. So if you want to laugh at me, which why not, click the link in the description down below. I'll leave that video down there for you guys to laugh at my expense. So before I get into the list, I just want to thank today's amazing sponsor, who is Linggoda. And Linggoda have their famous Linggoda language sprint coming up for summer, or if you're in the southern hemisphere like me, for winter. But the concept is that the sprint lasts for 3 months, and it's like a season, right? So you can either go through summer and come out the other side conversational, speaking in a new language. The super cool thing about the sprint is that depending on which one you choose, you can either get 50% or 100% cash back if you attend all the classes. It's that simple. So far Linggoda have had over 30,000 people go through their language challenges, and I know that quite a few of my subscribers have as well, and I've had really positive feedback. It's been pretty transformational. Like, there's been people who are finally able to speak up and converse, and they've been able to more confidently move countries, get jobs, all that good stuff. And I first became a Linggoda student when I was studying for the French nationality exam. I wanted to get B2. I actually ended up getting C1, which was incredible. And what works really well with Linggoda is that you can attend the classes 24/7, right? Evening, lunch break, weekend, whatever. Because it's online, on the online platform, it connects you with these qualified native speaking teachers, and they're working from all around the world, right? So you can always find a time that suits you. It's super convenient, and the group sizes are really small, just 3 people in the class on average, and they just give you the structured learning pathway, and you can download all of the materials, the slides, all this kind of stuff. It's just really well done. So how the sprint works is that it starts on July 1st, 2020, and if you're doing the super sprint, it means that you'll attend 30 classes per month for the 3 months and earn up to 100% cash back. And if you do the sprint, that's 15 classes per month for 3 months, and you get up to a 50% cash back. You can do the sprint in French, English, business English, German, or Spanish. It doesn't matter what level you are, absolute beginner to more advanced. So if you're keen to secure one of the spots for the Linggoda language sprint this time round, you need to sign up before June 15th. You pay a €49 deposit to secure your spot because places are limited, and it is part of the money that will get reimbursed if you complete the sprint. And I've got a discount code for you, by the way, so that you can get €10 off that. So if you use the link in my description and enter class 7, you'll get €10 off that deposit anyway. And then basically just show up, attend your agreed number of classes, follow the contest rules. You can read all about those on the website. You become a sprint champion, and you receive up to your 100% cash back. Guys, what are you waiting for? If you've been wanting to advance in your chosen language, go for it. This promotion is incredible. It works. Go and check out the Linggoda Instagram page as well at Linggoda_official to check out some of the success stories and all that good stuff. It's been going on for a few years now. So good luck, enjoy, and let me know below if you sign up for the sprint. Alrighty, should we get on to these classic mistakes of English speakers then? So the first one that I had on my list is the classic, but it's the confusion between the verbs to have and to be. So avoir, to have, and être, to be. So when you have a state in French, like you feeling hungry or thirsty or warm or cold, you have that. And that's a bit screwy for native English speakers because you say, I have thirsty, I have hunger. So j'ai soif, j'ai faim, j'ai chaud. J'ai chaud is a bad one because if you say je suis chaud, I mean, you can say it in a certain context. If you want to say something like je suis chaud pour aller au ciné ce soir, like I'm keen to go to the cinema tonight, that's fine. But if you just say je suis chaud, it means that you're horny. So be careful on that one, because if you're like je suis chaud, you'll get some strange looks. Another place that this comes up all the time is with ages as well. In English you say I am 20, whereas in French you have to say j'ai 20 ans. And it, like most, you know, that was one of the first things you learn in French, right? Super basic. But we always make the mistake when we change tenses. So if you're speaking in the imparfait, like in the past, like when you're saying, when I was 20 years old, so common for English speakers to say, quand j'étais 20 ans, like when I was 20 years, and it's like, no, quand j'avais 20 ans. The next one, and you'll see there's a common theme here, but saying that you're excited, it's quite a hard concept for us to understand how to say I'm excited for something in French, because the word excité exists. But if you say je suis excité, je suis hyper excité, je suis trop excité, you're saying again you're super horny, and this is not okay. So rather than saying that you're excité and excited in that way, what you'd rather probably say is j'ai hâte, I can't wait. Okay, so that would be a nice alternative to say instead. Another classic is when you're asked in French, how are you? Okay, ça va, tu vas bien? And saying je suis bien, I am good. To say that you're doing well in French, you'd rather say je vais bien, I'm going good. Or of course, ça va. You can have a whole conversation with ça va. Ça va? Ça va? Ça va? Ouais, ça va, ça va. Just a note here that you can say je suis bien, but it's more like je suis bien si I feel good, I'm in a state of well-being. Je suis bien. It's a different kind of concept. The next one's quite a classic, but it's just the completely different way of saying I miss you, or you miss something in French versus English. So you might be tempted to say in French, for example, I miss you, je te manque. Je te manque. But no, this is not how it goes in French. The construction needs to be tu me manques. So you are missing from me, which is quite sweet, really, when you think about it. This one used to trip me up all the time when I was studying and taking tests or exams at university. And I would say, j'ai pris un examen, I took an exam, and they'd just look at me like, what? Because you could say that, but it means like, right then, like you took an exam paper in your hands. And so to take an exam, to sit an exam, is passer un examen. So you have to say you passed an exam to just say that you sat it. This is getting confusing. And then when you've passed the exam, or you've passed it, you've succeeded, you would say j'ai réussi, or the verb is réussir un examen, so succeed un examen. That means you pass the exam. So to take an exam, j'ai passé un examen, and when you know for sure that it was a success, you would say j'ai réussi un examen. The next thing is a little bit confusing, and it's the way you say something is confusing. So in French, you can't really say je suis confus or je suis confuse for a female. Even though the word exists, it actually means more like I'm sorry. What you could say instead of saying I'm confused is say je suis perdu, so I'm lost, or just simply je comprends pas, I don't understand. By the way, if you guys love these kinds of tips and funny insights, I definitely recommend following my friend Orly on her Instagram account Paris O'Clock, because she is posting on the regular mini French lessons, and she's just launched a podcast and it's awesome, so you should definitely go and check that out. I'll leave the link in the description box down below as well. The next thing we tend to muck up quite a bit as well is professions. So in French you don't say I am a something, you just say I am something. So je suis docteur, je suis avocate, je suis vendeuse, you get the point. You wouldn't say je suis un docteur, je suis un avocat. And so yeah, this is just obviously a problem of literal translations happening between the two languages. Now the next thing that we do tend to muck up quite a bit when we're speaking French as native English speakers is when it comes to kind of possessing something. So you'd be like she is my sister, you would be so tempted to be elle est ma sœur, or it's my brother, il est mon frère, or those are my kids, Ils sont mes enfants. But when you like possess something like that, when you're saying it's my sister, my kids, and that kind of thing, it's actually c'est. So c'est mon frère, c'est ma sœur, ce sont mes enfants. And to be honest, this is something that I get wrong all the time still. It's so unnatural. Another thing we do as native English speakers as well is literally translate the word just, like I just arrived, for example. You could say je suis juste arrivé, or I just understood what you said. You might be tempted to say j'ai juste compris ce que tu m'as dit. Now this doesn't work. So to just do something in French, we use the structure vient de. So vient de is like if you say I just arrived, je viens d'arriver. Or you just understood something, je viens de comprendre ce que tu m'as dit. You can actually use the word just to kind of emphasize it even further, but it doesn't change the fact that you need the vient de. Like for example, je viens juste d'arriver. Obviously something that we do that takes a bit of getting used to is that we're used to pronouncing all of the letters in a word. Who would have thought that if there's an S, we want to pronounce it at the end, or an H at the beginning, hey, maybe we want to pronounce it. But the thing is, especially if there's like a T at the end, like for example, if you want to say it's funny, and you're meant to say c'est marrant, but there's a T, right? So you might want to say c'est marrant, but that doesn't make sense because it's like making the word feminine, and you wouldn't ever make something feminine with a C in front of it, and it just gets, yeah. So when you pronounce the end of certain words when you're not meant to, it really does confuse French people. However, I mean, you know, some words you do pronounce the end of. For example, if you had T-E, elle est marrante, for example, yeah, okay, you pronounce that. But this is something that's just practice and just takes getting used to. Speaking of things that just take a little bit getting used to, we've got the famous tu or vous. So vous being the formal form, right? So being like, well, it's more than that. So you would use vous for people, it's like when you want to be polite, right? Maybe you don't know the person so well, maybe a shop assistant, or maybe even a colleague or someone at work, but it signifies that there's a bit of distance between you. You're not friends, right? Or people sort of higher up than you in the hierarchy. That's another reason you'd use it as well. People older than you, it's respect, it's politeness, and all that kind of stuff. And tu you use usually for small children or for friends, but there's all sorts of rules, and you know, some person can say, oh, like you can use tu with me and then it's fine. But yeah, that's a little bit of a game that you need to play in French. I don't think French people really get offended when they know that it's your second language, but it's just something to keep in mind because it can accidentally be quite rude or impolite. The last thing is just the overuse of the word visiter, like when we're visiting people. So if you'd say something like, j'ai visité un ami, you can't really say that. Visiter in French is to visit, like j'ai visité un appartement, j'ai visité un musée. You visit like buildings and spaces actually, but you don't visit people. So if you want to say I visited a friend, you would say j'ai rendu visite à un ami, or more simply, je suis allée voir un ami. So I went to see a friend. So that's just something to keep in mind as well as an anglophone. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed that video. Let me know which one is the biggest mistake that you've been making down below, or the biggest one that you have noticed. If you want to take your speaking confidence and language learning skills to the next level, don't forget to sign up for the Linggoda language sprint and potentially get 100% cashback, guys. It's such a good offer. And otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Catch you next time. Let me know if you have any video requests down below, and I'll see you in the next video. A bientôt!